Let's have a look today at Manim, a community-maintained Python library for creating mathematical animations, which is the library that 3Blue1Brown, the big mathematics YouTube channel, uses for his animations. As you probably know, he makes some awesome, badass animations depicting neural networks, Fourier series transformations, all of that mathematical stuff, collisions done by rectangles here. And the entire channel is based on those slick animations. So let's explore together how they are created, and how we can create those ourselves. And I would suggest, or I would just go to the quick start page and let's have a look at what we can do together. So apparently starting a new project, we do that by creating a new folder, Manim init. But to do that, we probably have to install it first. So let's go to the installation page. As you probably sense, I haven't done this ever before. So we are setting everything up from scratch ourselves. So let's go to a projects directory and let's call which is by the way the directory containing all the projects we created on this channel. If you're interested in the source code of all the projects, then have a look at the Patreon. Then let's create a directory Manim for today's video and let's go into it. And then let's do a pip install Manim. And it seems to be doing something. And in the meantime, let's see if we have to do anything else. I hope the installation concludes successfully. And if it does, then we can initialize the project in a new folder. So the command is manim init project my project default, apparently. The my project folder is the root folder. And it contains all the files that Manim needs to function. Interesting. So it seems to be not entirely code-based, but there's more complexity behind that. It's creating a repository on your machine locally. I will just pick the default template, I think. Yeah. Let's see what it has created. It has created a directory, my project. Let's see what's inside. There's a main.py and then there's a manim.config. Let's have a look at the config file. Okay. So it's not that complex, at least not as complex as I have expected. We configure a frame rate, a height and width of the window, then a background color and opacity, and a scene name. And in the main.py function, let's see what is available there. We import all the dependencies from the Manim library, from the Manim package. And then there's a class default template that we implement a construct function on. Oh, and it is already pre-filled. So let's see if we can already execute the code here by calling python3 main.py, and let's see what happens. Nothing happens. Why is nothing happening? Let's just copy the simple code to create a circle here and paste it. I would expect the default template to work anyways, but let's just stick to the quick start guide and let's try to start that. It hasn't done anything. I don't know why. I also don't know whether I should expect a window to open with the video playing or whether an output file is generated. Let's try to find out. Okay, so we create this main.python file, and then after that we open the command line, navigate to the project folder, and we execute the following command. Aha, okay, and then we execute a Manim command. We don't execute the file, even though it's a Python file, we don't execute it using Python. So there is apparently some processor implemented in Manim that, or something that loads the code that is not just Python, there's more to it in the background. Let's try. Okay, something has happened. Let's see. There is an error. This command cannot be run. And the error is here. If you can't see it, it's this one. This command cannot be run due to the error. The system cannot find the file specified. Okay. So apparently a video file, or it is attempted to create a video file, but something goes wrong, and then when playing the video file, it cannot be, or it is not found. That is at least my understanding. I am using a specific Manim version that is not the most updated one, but that shouldn't be the problem. I can upgrade it here, apparently, according to this recommendation. But that shouldn't be the source of the error. Oh, and now I just messed up my Tmux panes. Let me just rearrange the pane. Yeah, okay. So we cannot find the file specified. Is there an error that comes before that causes the file to not be created? There's an error. Error, no view mail cap rules found for type video MP4. You don't seem to have any MIME info cache files. Try running the update desktop database command. If you don't have this command, you should install the desktop file utils package. This package is available from, and then there's this website. Okay. Let's see what that website is about. Apparently this is a command line utility for working with desktop in entries. What is that? Okay, apparently it's a database containing a cache of MIME types. That is a list of, well, data formats. Okay, but now how do I get it? Software. What if I just try to do update desktop? That doesn't work. This command is not being auto-completed. I can install it with this command. Oh, that's great. So Ubuntu has it in the operating system repositories, in the package repositories. So let me just install it and see if that resolves anything. Apparently, if I understand the error correctly, the code tries to produce an MP4 video, but my system is not aware of what MP4 is. I might be mistaken, but that is my understanding. So let's try again, and let's execute the Manim code, and let's see what happens. It's still the same error. Error, no view mail cap rules found for video MP4. So let me just look that error up. Let's not waste more time. If I understand it correctly, it's related to web servers and serving content. I need to fix my web server configuration to send the correct content type header for MP4. But I don't understand what that has to do with Manim. There's a Chinese page referring to that error. Well, great. Can I just translate that to English? Maybe it has a useful solution. FFmpeg should be installed on my machine, so that is surprising. MP4. Let's look for the error that we encountered. The error is mailcap rules. Ah, okay, but this guy here still played a generated MP4. So do we have a generated MP4 somewhere? If there is, then that should be sufficient for this video. Then we don't need to do so much troubleshooting. Then there's a file created here. Yes, great. Then let's open the Explorer here in this folder and let's have a look at the generated file. And there's our circle. Great. Okay, so at least we know that files are being generated. They are just not served, which is good. Good enough for this video. Now, let's have a look at how that works. So basically, let's go back to the code file, which is here, main.py. We create a class, and the class has a construct method. It creates a new circle. We set the color of the circle. We can also set it blue probably, and then have a blue circle. And then we play the creation of the circle. I don't know how the software knows that it should animate the circle the way it is being animated. So right now we have this incremental pi animation. The circle is completing in a clockwise motion instead of just starting as a single pixel, for example, and then growing from that. So there could be many different ways to create a circle, and this Manim framework or library just picks one somehow, and I don't know where that is configured. Yeah. And the quick docs, they state that Manim will output rendering information, then create an MP4 file, which it did, and your default movie player will play the MP4 file. And for me, the issue is that because I'm using Windows subsystem for Linux, which is this Ubuntu terminal in Windows, it doesn't have a default movie player for my MP4 file. So maybe as a last test, I can install VLC, which I already have in Windows, but not in the Ubuntu. So let's see if I can install it and if the video will start with that. Ubuntu install VLC media player. Let's see. Okay, it's just sudo apt install VLC. Okay, that will install quite a lot of files. Let's do that in the background, and while it's installing, let's go back to the quick start docs and have a look at what is happening. So we see an animation of a pink circle being drawn. Great. We just wrote our first Manim scene from scratch. If you get an error message instead, you do not see a video, or if the video output does not look like the preceding animation, it's likely that Manim has not been installed correctly. Okay, for us it worked. At least I consider it working. So we first import all the stuff from Manim. That is clear. Okay, we don't need to question that. And then most of the time, the code for scripting and animation is entirely contained within the construct method. Okay. it's contained within the construct method of a scene class. That's interesting because for us, this scene class was just the circle. Going up here. Ah, no, it's a circle, but takes as input a scene, and this might be the Python syntax to instantiate a scene class, or to instantiate the subclass of a scene. Okay, clear. Then what else is there? Inside construct, you can create objects, display them on the screen, and animate them. The next two lines create a circle and set its color and opacity. Then we create a circle object, and then we set the fill, and then we call a play method on the circle. Let's transform the circle to a square and see how that works out. By the way, let's recall the Manim command and see if we can play the video with, yeah, awesome. Now we played it with the VLC that I just installed. The animation finished so quickly that VLC is now stuck here. But as you can see, the video is generating and then it's quickly playing. At least it was just now. Is it now playing in background somewhere? Wait, let me just find all the VLC processes and kill them. 8715 and 8880. I hope I didn't mess something up. Let's try again. Yeah, and there the animation was playing, which is fine. It seems to be not loaded in VLC, so I can't just replay it. Oh, no, I can. Okay, now it's good. So now we fixed the error by, and the animation didn't play because I didn't have a default player for those animations or for the videos installed. Great. Now let's try the next thing from the quick start. And let's paste everything here. And I think I'm missing the import statement. So wait, let me undo that and just paste the implementation here. So what are we doing? We are still creating a circle. We are creating a square. We are rotating the square by a certain amount. And then we are playing the creation of the square. We are playing the transformation of the square to a circle. And then we play a fade out animation. It's interesting how much work the library already does for you. I mean, that's very little logic for a lot of output. Imagine you had to create that animation in C using SDL. You would spend many, many hours. Okay, so let's try to run that in Manim and see what happens. And the media player opened here. And that's the square to circle animation. That's quite nice. Now, let's see if there is anything we can do ourselves. Is there anything we do learn in this tutorial? There's positioning. We can position objects next to other objects. Let's copy that and see what happens. There's the square. I don't know why the video is truncated. It's just cut off here. No idea. Let me just double check. I'm going to open this in the Windows Explorer and see if the media file is actually broken or if this is just my Ubuntu system. Let me just open that. Nope. The Windows VLC media player also cuts off the square. So apparently this has to do with, and I would say this has to do with the Manim configuration. And we have set the pixel height to 854 and the width to 480. Is this... No, the width is narrower than the height. This is odd. Wait, what if we set this to a height of 600 and 900? Does this change anything about the video output? Let's see. Ah, it does. Now the output is smaller within the video. So this seems to be the scale inside the video file. Okay, interesting. Then let's have a look if we can do anything ourselves in the Manim library. I find this animation very nice. Let's copy that and then let's try to modify it. Let's not use the config, but the Python file. Where is it? Here. Okay, animated square to circle. Let's execute the animated square to circle. And there it is. It looks awesome. Can we make this bigger? Nice. Then for some small optimization of my setup here, I will copy that entire command over to this other pane, then move to the Manim directory here, and let me just try to execute the command here and see if it works, and it does. So I'm going to use the bottom right pane for the execution of the command and the left one, the big pane, for coding only. Now, what can we change about this? So far I've only been copying and pasting code and troubleshooting, but we haven't really modified anything ourselves. What happens if we rotate the square by 10 pi, which would be, well, 1 pi is, I think, 180 degrees, 2 pi's is a full rotation, and 10 pi's should be 5 full rotations. Let's see if we can make the square rotate 5 times by saying 10 pi. Here, rotation 10 pi. So I would expect the circle now to rotate quite fast. Let's see what happens. And it doesn't change the output. Why? It doesn't even rotate. That might be because if the library senses that something is a full rotation is 2 pi. If I specify 4 pi, that will be 2 full rotations, so there will be no difference. It will still end up on the same position, at the same rotational position at the end. So that might be what's happening here. Wait. So possibly this rotate method only accepts values between 0 and 2 pi. It's not suitable for anything bigger. So let's try 3/4 multiplied by pi, just to make sure that we are understanding this correctly. I don't know. I really don't know. What happens if I remove the rotation? Am I even calling the right code? No, of course I'm not. Oh god. Animated squared to circle. Oh my god, sorry guys. I completely called the wrong code here, I think. But this one, is it rotating? It's not rotating much, if at all. Am I even doing the right thing? rotate the square. Let me just copy this again, just to be foolproof, because I feel like today my brain is not running at maximum capacity. It's running at very reduced capacity today, and let's execute the Manim command. And it should take... Wait. Okay, we have to specify that we're running the main.py, not scene.py. Let's see if that works, and there is an output. So here we see that the square is rotating by pi divided by 4, and then it's converted to a circle. What if I make it rotate by pi divided by 2, by half a pi? Then that should rotate more, at least according to my understanding. What's wrong here? Yeah, okay, and that worked. Now it's rotating more, as you can see. Let's make it rotate by 2 pi. Let's see if it understands that. Okay, and it doesn't rotate at all, and that is because 2 pi would be a full rotation, and it likely doesn't understand that. What if I do 2 pi minus 0.1? That should be almost a full rotation. Let's see. Okay, as you can see, it tilts a bit and then transforms to a circle. That means it doesn't do the full 2 pi minus 0.1 rotation. It just rotates to... Wait, it just rotates to the... in the closest way to the final position. So if this is... Wait, if... Okay, let's say this is our starting rectangle here. Then rotating it by 2 pi should technically make it rotate a full rotation. But it seems that Manim knows that this full rotation, that the final position achieved after a full rotation is still the same, and so it renders no rotation at all. And if I generate a rotation that would correspond to something like this angle right here, so actually we're specifying this angle, the one that is yellow right now, but Manim is calculating the difference in position and is just visualizing this one here better. I hope you get my point. So that seems to be what is internally happening. That means the most rotation we can compute or we can visualize is actually pi, which would be a half rotation. And let's see. That looks very odd. Something is really off here. Pi divided by 4 definitely looks the best. Ah, no, pi is also a rotation that results in the same position in the end. Yeah, that because it's 180 degrees, it's not an odd angle, so that's what's happening. Okay, then let's fill the final circle blue and make the opacity 1 and see what happens. And there's our blue. It's quite a light blue. It's not the classic blue that you would expect when specifying blue. But okay. Then can we create something else ourselves? Triangle. I will just mimic the code that already exists in this file here. Create triangle, just like this. And then let's do a self dot play transform triangle. No, what else is there? We can rotate. We can shift. We can shift the triangle. That might be something worth doing. No, let's just play the creation of the triangle and see if anything happens in the final animation. So there's our circle, and now we should see a triangle. Nope. Of course not. Self-play triangle. Why not? Manim triangle. Let's look it up. Maybe I have to create it at the start of the method. And then let's also play, let's just play the creation of the triangle at the beginning and see what happens there. Maybe the library is confused. Oh, yeah, okay, it is creating a triangle. Okay, so apparently it can create multiple objects. And a lot of logic is masked away by the libraries, and that's why coding what you want here is not really straightforward, because you have to guess what the library does sometimes. But also I'm very lazy at looking up documentation, as you know. Then let's create the triangle instead of the square. And let's do triangle rotate. And then let's transform the triangle into a circle. And the circle is filled green with an opacity of 0.5. And because we're already at it, let's also open the Manim config file and change this to 500 by 500 just to see the difference in video output. Let's make the background color gray. Oh no, let's keep it black. And the scene name can stay default. Let's up the frame rate to 60 just to see the difference here. And then let's play the video. Let's see what happens. And there it is. This is our triangle rotating by a specified angle and then transforming to a circle. And why is there a square suddenly? Is there still a square in the code? Where's the square coming from? Ah, there's a square.animate. And I still create a square. Okay, of course, yeah, so it's my fault, obviously. Then let's do circle animate and fill it green. Let's see. And this should be our final animation, or at least it's a quick start animation which we customize. So we have this triangle rotating, transforming to a circle, and filling with a green content. I would like, for the sake of this video, to make this scene a bit bigger. So let's go over to the config. What if I make this very small? Will this result in a bigger picture? I think so. No. I can just do this. Is this now a low resolution video or not? What if I do 50? I can't really make out what this pixel height and width actually do when I execute the code. The video still looks quite sharp. So what does the config even do? Let's have a look at the Manim command we're calling. Manim help. Let's see if there's any info about the config here. Huh. Pixel height, pixel width. What if I do 5000 here? There's our video. Does it have a higher resolution? It's very hard to see. Maybe? No. Actually, it still looks the same. So let me just look up the Manim config and see where the quality is coming from. Am I rendering this with some default config? Possibly. What does the PQL mean? Let me look that up. PQL. Run Manim render help if you would like to know what the QL or P flags do, for example. Yeah. Manim render help. P is the preview. Okay, so that is what opens the video file. Then where's the Q? There it is, quality. And then, and we render a low quality. Then let's try the high quality. That would be Manim PQ and then quality high, PQH. Let's try to execute that and let's see. It looks like the code is executing slower. It's more slowly now. Yeah, and now we have a huge video file. And this looks very smooth. This looks great. Okay, let's do a medium quality video. And I mean, this is quite important to understand. So this is the final video that we created. Just like this. Quite nice. And this is quite important to understand because if you're using Manim to build something for a presentation or at work, you're animating something, then when you present it, you want obviously to provide the video in a good quality. You can't imagine the number of times where I see in a final thesis presentation or in some technical presentation at work, some pixelated animation. It's horrible. People just copy paste images or GIFs from the internet and the quality is really low. So always pay attention to those details, at least not when you necessarily experiment, just like I do here, but when you really produce a product in the end. And with a product in this case, I mean an animation. All right, that's it. I hope you enjoyed this video playing around with the Manim library. It was not really technically challenging. We haven't done too much here. But this possibly sparked your interest. If you enjoyed this, then please leave a like and subscribe, and then let's see you in the next video. And also always consider becoming a Patreon where you get access to all the source code that we produced in the videos. in a private GitHub repository. And also, I need your help gathering video ideas. So any questions, in-depth ideas, personal questions, you can write all those things in the comments or even write me a mail and I will respond to all of it. See you next time. Thank you.